Hello learners, this is Excel with Habiba. We are learning philosophical foundation of education under that topic contributions. In the previous class, we have learned Swami Vivekananda's contributions to educational thinking. Today, we are going to learn about the contributions of Tagore to educational thinking. Among the contemporary Indian philosophers of education, Rabindranath Tagore holds eminent position. He may be called as a humanist in the strict sense of the term. His humanist approach is not materialistic but integral in nature. Always he loved nature. His philosophy is cosmopolitan humanism and his theory of education is directly deduced from this philosophy. Tagore was born on May 6, 1861 at Calcutta. The family of Tagore was known for its enlightened and progressive views. Tagore becomes a world figure when his book Gitanjali won him the Nobel Prize in 1913. Very important point we have to remember. Gitanjali was given by Tagore. He got the Nobel Prize also for that. On December 22, 1921, Tagore founded the Vishwa Bharati, an international university to being about understanding between Eastern and Western cultures. Tagore has left his deep impression on several facets of life, that is related to artistic, cultural, educational, intellectual, political and social. There is no field of literature which he has not enriched by his contribution. He was a great artist, educationist, a poet, a patriot, a philosopher and a social reformer. Now let's understand Tagore's philosophy of life. First, humanism. Tagore's humanism observed he, that is God, is there where the tiller is tilling the hard ground, that is farmer is tilling the ground, hard ground, and where the pathmaker is breaking stone. To make the path, earlier on the mountains they used to break the stone to go from there. So everywhere, what does it mean? God is everywhere. Now the second one is naturalism. Now Tagore's naturalism, he said, he lives in a prison house whose walls are aligned to him. Tagore loved nature immensely. That's why you might have learned in Shantiniketan, children used to learn under the trees. There were no walls and boundaries for them to learn, free environment for them. The next one is spiritualism. Now Tagore's spiritualism, he said, I believe in the spiritual unity of man and therefore I ask you to accept this task from me. So he has taken that spiritual unity. He wanted every mankind to accept this task. Next one is individualism. Now Tagore's individualism, Tagore believed that every being has the right to shape his life in his own way. Obviously, every individual has the right to shape their future, not anybody else ruling over anyone. Next one is universalism. Tagore's universalism, under that he wanted to break down barriers between cultures. That is, he said, before we are in a position to stand a comparison with the other cultures of the world or truly cooperate with them, we must base our own culture on a synthesis of all the different cultures we have. Earlier, we had boundaries. We were stick to our own cultures only. When globalization had happened, there were no boundaries, so we have adopted so many cultures in us. It doesn't mean that everything we have to adopt. Whichever is true, correct and perfect and that individual want to accept, that only we should take. Now the next one is internationalism. Tagore's internationalism, Tagore advocated synthesis between the East and the West. The Vishwa Bharati at Shantiniketan is an embodiment of his international outlook. We will learn about this Vishwa Bharati in the coming slides also. Now the next one, we have to understand about factors influencing Tagore's philosophy of education. What are the sources of information here? Influence of home environment, and he got influenced by the home environment, and his influence of the school environment, and the love for nature, then his extensive visits also, everywhere he used to visit. So these are all the things which Tagore got inspired or influenced. Now Tagore's views on education, let's see here. What are his views? First one is self-realization. That is, spiritualism is the essence of humanism. That is, manifestation of personality depends upon the self-realization and spiritual knowledge of individual. Whatever spiritual knowledge we want or we have adopted, that is particular to that person only. That is self-realization. We should realize our own weaknesses, our own strengths, and what is our spiritual knowledge we have to understand. That individual has to understand, he says. The next one is self-realization and then intellectual development. By intellectual development, he means development of imagination, creative, free thinking, constant curiosity and alterness of the mind. Child should be free to adopt his own way of learning, which will lead to all-round development. Nobody should be there on that child. A child should be free from all the barriers, he says. Then physical development. Tagore's educational philosophy also aims at the physical development of the child. He gave much importance to sound and healthy physique. If sound mind, sound body is there, then only any person has the ability to learn. So yoga and games and sports are prescribed in Shantiniketan as an integral part of the educational system. Now next one is love for humanities. Tagore held that education can teach people to realize oneness of the globe. Education for international understanding and universal brotherhood is another important aim of his educational philosophy. The next one is freedom. What does he mean by freedom? Freedom is considered as integral aspect of human development. If we are free to do anything, then only development is possible. Education is a man-making process. It explores the innate power of that exists within the man. It is not an imposition, rather a liberal process. That means freedom is given, liberal process that provides utmost freedom to the individual for his all-round development. Next one is correlation of subjects. So he wanted correlation exists with God, man and nature, he says. A peaceful work is only possible when correlation between man and nature will be established. Both biological and physiological, there is no meaning if they are not combined and dependent on each other. Next one is mother tongue as medium of instruction. Language is the vehicle, he says, of the self-expression. Everybody says that only. That is a vehicle. Language is the vehicle of expressing something. Man can freely express his thought in his mother tongue only. Obviously, we all are bound to our mother tongue. In mother tongue, we can express freely rather than in any other languages. Tagore has emphasized mother tongue as a medium of instruction for the child's education. Next, moral and spiritual development. Tagore emphasized moral and spiritual training in his educational thought. Moral and spiritual education is more important than bookish knowledge. Everybody run for the bookish knowledge, but it is not like that. For an integral development of human personality, beyond the textbook we should go. There must be an adequate provision for the development of selfless activities, cooperation and love fellow feeling and sharing among the students in educational institutions. The next one is social development. According to Tagore, Brahma, the supreme soul, manifests himself through men and other creatures. Since he is the source of all human beings and creatures, so all are equal, he says. Therefore, he said, service to man is service to God. A very important quotation he has given. Service to man is service to God. All should develop social relationships and fellow feelings from the beginnings of one's life. Education aim at developing the individual personality as well as social characters, which enables him to live as a worthy being. So the next one is, what about the curriculum here of Tagore? Tagore recommended a curriculum for the full man, satisfying the spiritual, the creative, the aesthetic and the vocational aims of education. Besides providing for teaching of ordinary schools, Tagore developed many educational ideas years ahead of others. Nowadays, educationists talk so much about the educational value of crafts, projects, music, dancing, fine arts, etc. But it is indeed very significant to note that the poet provided for the teaching of most of these subjects from the very beginning in his school at Shantiniketan. So, this is the recommended by Tagore, Rabindranath Tagore. Now, let's understand the methods of teaching, what he has recommended. Tagore strongly criticized the bookish and examination oriented teaching. He stressed movement of the whole body in various learning activities. So, he followed the activity principle and advocated constructive and creative activities. Now we are following that one only, constructivism, constructing the knowledge. Already knowledge is inherent among each and every individual. Even the child comes with the knowledge to the school. So we have to bring that out. The creativity should come out with the help of the methods of teaching here. Next, children as children we should see. According to Rabindranath Tagore, it is a mistake to judge children by the standard of grown-ups. Always we do that only. We compare the children with others. That is very wrong. We should not treat them as adults itself. Adults ignore the natural gifts of children and insist that children must learn through the same process as themselves. This is man's most cruel and most wasteful mistake actually. Children have their subconscious mind which is more active than their conscious intelligence. That we should understand, he says. Next, role of the teacher. According to Rabindranath Tagore, what should be the role of ideal teacher? Role of teacher, let's see here. An ideal school teacher should be, in teaching, the guiding spirit should be personal love based on human relations. That is very important. Then in education, the teacher is more important than the method, obviously. Then Tagore pointed out, a teacher can never truly teach unless he is learning himself. A lamp can never light another lamp unless it continues to burn its own flame. Now, religious education, what Tagore stressed here. Tagore stressed religious education through practice. That means one person should practice their own religion. He wrote, teaching of religion can never be imparted in the form of lessons. Obviously, it is where there is religion in living, where life is simple. So, according to Tagore, real training consists not in foisting moral teachings, but in making religion and morality an integral part of life. Now, characteristics of an ideal school, according to Rabindranath Tagore. Tagore attempted to make his school at Bolpur as an ideal institution. According to him, an ideal school should have the following characteristics here. The school should be situated in natural surroundings. There should prevail the atmosphere of nature's own beauty with her varied gifts of color and dance, flowers and fruits, with the joy of her mornings and the peace of her starry nights. Then it should cultivate love of nature among the students. Obviously, the school should cultivate the love of nature among the students, then only it will be preserved for future generation. Next one, it should provide spiritual training of the students here. Then it should educate children by providing an environment of freedom. Then it should impart education in the mother tongue of the students here. Then it should provide an environment after the fashion of ancient Tapovans, that is forest schools, about which he had read so much in the Upanishads. Then it should be a community school where there is no distinction of caste and creed, obviously. Then it should teach crafts like sewing, bookbinding, weaving, carpentry, etc. And it should include drawing, art and music as an integral part of the curriculum. Then it should provide students adequate opportunities for choosing their hobbies and occupations, obviously. And it should have a well equipped library, and it should be a self-governing institution, has a dairy farm, post office, hospital and workshop, and students hold their own codes also in the Shanti Niketan. Then it should provide for close personal contact with the teacher. Number of students in classes should be very small, then only contact will be more and interaction will be good. Then it should provide for manual labor. Now, educational institutions started by Tagore, you can see all I have given in the table. You can pause it and see, otherwise the video will become very long. So, please see the following institutions were started by Tagore to carry out his experiments in education, like Sisu Bhavan Nursery. Likewise, all are there: Path Bhavan, Siksha Bhavan, Vidya Bhavan, Vinay Bhavan. So, you can pause the video and please check it out. I have given all the 11 institutions which was started by Rabindranath Tagore. Now let's see about Vishwa Bharati, World University. Vishwa Bharati, that consists of two Sanskrit words. Vishwa means world, then Bharati means cultures. What does it mean in together? That is world culture. So Vishwa Bharati, the motto, what is the motto of this university? That is Yatra Vishwam Bhavari Ekamidam. That means where the world meets at one place. That is the meaning of, that is the motto of Vishwa Bharati, that is World University. Now let's see the contributions of Tagore with the growth of Vishwa Bharati. In 1863, Rabindranath Tagore, Tagore's father, founded ashram at Bolpur. It was Bolpur. It was called Shanti Niketan, now abode of peace. Shanti means peace. It was meant for the seekers of truth. In 1901, Tagore started the experimental school. In 1921, it became the Vishwa Bharati. Now, contributions of Tagore attempted to make his school at Bolpur as an ideal institution. According to him, an ideal school should have the following characteristics. Now let's see the main features of Vishwa Bharati here. The first one is the ideal of the University of Man. That means it wants to hold before the world the ideal of the University of Man. Then the greatest distinction is the direct and immediate emotional contact of pupils with their teachers and with external nature. Next one is a speciality of their institution is that it wants to bring up the pupils in inseparable association with nature. Then it is intended not only to be the intellectual center of the intellectual life of India, but also the center of her economic life of India, and also means of promoting mutual understanding between the East and West. It is envisaged to be the nucleus of an international university and as one of the means of promoting mutual understanding between the East and the West. Then established a number of educational institutions at Shantiniketan. He was a great practitioner, worked out his ideas and ideals in a constructive way, and also founded the Vishwa Bharati. These are his contributions of education. He drew attention to the listless environment of the traditional school. Then he tried to synthesize, that is making the combination of the ancient Indian ideals of education and the Western arts and sciences. And he pointed out the significance of providing an environment of freedom in the school. So Tagore may be described as an idealist, a naturalist, a modernist, a pragmatic, a traditionalist, a humanist, and an internationalist. So I hope you have understood about Rabindranath Tagore. Let's conclude with his quotation: education is the manifestation of perfection already existing in man. And according to him, the aim of education is the knowledge not of facts but of values. And another one, education is the key to unlock the golden door of freedom. Hope you liked the class. If you like, please do like, share and subscribe and comment below. Thanks for your attention and time. Happy learning.